Welcome to 2022's most anticipated event of the year, the 13-game Mario Kart Championship. A championship centered around 4 players, with the help of many others, that focuses on playing every game in the Mario Kart franchise via 4-player split screen, all with the goal of winning the most races and claiming the solid gold Mario Kart trophy. Ever since 1992, Mario Kart has dominated couch co-op gaming with its 13 titles spanning generations. Instead of playing every game solo and or beating every individual race in the series like I would normally do for these videos, I decided to link up with a few buddies of mine to instead have us all participate in a championship-style Mario Kart competition. Throughout our several years of friendship, our go-to Guys Night game of choice has always been one of the several Mario Kart games. We enjoy playing the new titles, the old titles, which each have their own crowned best player. With our nearly weekly arguments over who is definitively the best overall Mario Kart racer, a competition surely needed to be devised in order to settle the debate. So I decided we're going to take part in and document the first ever truly all-encompassing Mario Kart Championship, where we not only play the titles we and most others play, but every other title, even the weird ones, in the order of release. You heard the number right. When you total it up, there are 13 games in the Mario Kart franchise that need to be beaten in order to receive the trophy. Worth mentioning is there is technically one more unplayable game, with that being Mario Kart GP VR, a virtual reality game that was first released temporarily in the US in 2017 and then a year later in the UK. That game now is very inaccessible and impossible to emulate, so just know that game will not be included here. With that being said, let's quickly go through the championship rules. Rule number 1. For every game, we will play one Grand Prix, aka 4 courses. The Grand Prix Cup is chosen off of its variety of courses, inclusion of game-exclusive maps, and inclusion of maps we have history on. Rule number 2. Before every Grand Prix, we will complete one warm-up race. This is for everyone to adjust to new controls, ask questions if they have any, and feel for any controller drift, which is pretty common at my place. Rule number 3. For all games, we go off the Mario Kart Wii's point system, which we deemed most fair. First place gets 15 points, second gets 12, third gets 10, fourth gets 8, and from there, each lower position goes down by 1 point. This means taking last in a 12-racer game will hurt, but in a 4-racer only game, it won't as much. The point is to reward the higher positions. Rule number 4. Whenever an option, we chose to include CPU bots. Not every game has you race alongside bots, but most do. Bots were added to fill positions and to add an additional challenge. Rule number 5. For every game, we aimed for the traditional 4-player split screen, but not every title has that ability, either because the game is a mobile title or because of emulation. The only way we could realistically play the arcade titles is by individually playing an emulated Grand Prix each and comparing times. Rule number 6. Every game we aim to play at the 150cc speed. This was doable for every game besides a few. The games that we didn't play at that speed required the mode to be unlocked, which we didn't have time to do. Regardless, we played whatever was closest to 150. Controller setups varied throughout the 13 titles, even per game. This was either because of recording reasons and or because of the crowd's unchangeable personal preference. Regardless, controller choice can't be to blame for a poor performance. Rule number 8. In order to keep track of who's who, every player picks and sticks with one character that's in every game, with those being Hudson on Yoshi, me on Bowser, Rogan on Luigi, and Tanner on Princess Peach. Despite that very strict rule, occasionally characters will be different, which I'll note. Rule number 9. Ultra shortcuts were not allowed. An ultra shortcut is any major shortcut that cuts a large portion out of a race, usually by abusing a glitch. We tried our best to avoid maps with that issue. Intended shortcuts were fine though. And rule number 10. It was loosely stated before the championship that practice before or in between filming days was prohibited. Whether that rule was followed 100%, you'll find out. That's it for the rules for the first ever 13-game Mario Kart Championship. Before we get into it, I want to mention a few things. After each Grand Prix is completed, the points will be meticulously added up and the winner will be chosen by the highest total number of points when adding together all 13 games. The winner will then receive the one-of-a-kind solid gold Mario Kart trophy. This entire competition took place over several days and had an incredible amount of effort put into it from everyone involved, so I hope you enjoy. Without further ado, let's introduce you to the cast of characters involved, first with the 4 racers.
Okay, what's her name?
My name is Hudson Brown.
Hudson. A man known for many things, Hudson has the rare ability to be good at nearly every video game he touches, yet when it comes to Mario Kart, depending on the title, his skill varies. Hudson is also known for destroying opponents even though he lacks a real competitive drive. Many point to this as being his key to success. And lastly, known for his occasional trash talk and cocky attitude. When Hudson performs well, oh boy will you hear about it. But when he's doing bad, prepare for some shit talk.
I'm the best in the world. World class. Probably like 3 world tournaments, you know. I'm like considered one of the best. You know, I think I'll probably come in first every single race and I won't lose one or come in even second place, so. Let's put it this way. Jeffrey's the only person I'm not afraid of.
Who are you?
Rogan.
Rogan, a silent but deadly Mario Kart racer. With 10 plus years of kart racing experience, Rogan has proved to be one of the biggest threats on the racetrack. Many attribute his success to his extensive Mario Kart collection, others point to his notorious slime tactic employment and constant Mario Kart YouTube research. Regardless, Rogan has proved himself as a very skilled racer that is normally very subdued, but every so often comes out of his shell.
Any games you think you'll succeed at, or mostly struggle?
Mostly struggle because I've never played over 50%.
Anyone you're scared of today?
No. Yep.
Yeah. What's your name?
Tanner.
Tanner, a bit of a strange case when it comes to Mario Kart. He's either a force to be reckoned with on one title, or a forgettable back-of-the-pack dweller on another.
Do you think you got a good chance of winning this whole thing?
No, I think I've played 2 of them, and it's looking bad for the rest.
Tanner has always been a massive kart fan. Whether he's discussing the map lore, the different strategies to use, or just breaking down whatever idiosyncrasy a particular game has to offer, his love for the series is obvious. Though a longtime franchise lover, his skill very much varies depending on the title. Many call him One-Trick Pony Tanner for his skill primarily being focused on Mario Kart Wii, but every so often he has his moments on other games.
Do you fear any of the competition today?
Hudson seems like a major threat. Somehow he's good at these games predating his own existence. Jeffrey, anti-threat, but you know, you'll see him at 8th, 9th, maybe last. Really just kind of in the back of my mind the whole time. You know, Rogan and Hudson are the main contenders. They're the racers.
What is your real name?
My name is Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Well, that's me. Ever since the release of Mario Kart DS in 2005, I've been a massive fan of the franchise. I enjoy playing every game the series has to offer because I love what each one brings to the table. Since I own every title, my place has sort of become the hub for Mario Kart Guys Nights. Throughout my years of racing experience, I believe I am the most consistently, averagely good player. Not the best, not the worst, just always expect a solid performance out of me no matter the title. Also, I'm known to stir the pot a little.
Rogan picks up the games pretty well, it's pretty versatile. Hudson's strangely good at some games, but when Hudson's bad, he's bad. And Tanner, not super worried.
Next, with some of the other faces you'll be seeing today.
What is your name?
Julian.
Julian, a longtime friend and most often observer of Mario Kart play sessions. Throughout the several days, he'll be behind the camera mostly, while also providing commentary and helping with the championship behind the scenes.
The only Mario Kart I grew up playing is on DS and Wii. And I played maybe 5 games on the Wii. So with all the trash talk going on, it's not worth it. Basically, I'm here to be Jeffrey's bitch.
Using his extensive knowledge on the players and his ability to view the gameplay from an outside perspective, he will be a crucial person to have around. With the amount of games Julian's watched over the years, he already has his pick for who he thinks will win.
I think I'm gonna stick with the trend and say Hudson.
What is your name?
Lucas.
Lucas, the man behind the numbers. Throughout the 13 games, Lucas's job will be to keep track of every racer's position each race. Similar to Julian, Lucas does more Mario Kart observing than playing.
Did you ever play any games when you were younger?
Some DS, a lot of Wii, Coconut Mall. It's my hometown. It's a little bit intense for me. I enjoy a little bit of kart, but not like you guys. These are different.
This has also given him the ability to already know every player's ins and outs, draws, and flaws. Even though he's often too scared to step behind the wheel himself, he isn't above some occasional trash talk. Throughout the championship, his role is to be an unbiased third-party scorekeeper, but with his often loud backseat gaming and pattern of dishonest behavior, he could add unwanted challenges to this several-day event.
I feel like Hudson's got overall skill. I think he'll probably most applicable skill. I think he's got wide range.
Now that you're familiar with everyone, it's time to race. Day 1 started off like any other guy's night, except this night we would make history. Once everyone sat down, I read them off the rules I just listed to you, which all seemed pretty well received, except a few.
The winner of the entire thing won't be known until the video uploads, so we're not doing the math afterward. Part of the reason no one knows the score is because I'm going to be skimming over the footage, making sure there's no disqualifications.
Why can't we know the scores at the end of the day? Okay, so you said ultra shortcuts not allowed, but are intended shortcuts allowed? You get the whole TV, we get these shitty little Game Boys.
Choose one character that you're going to play for all the games. What? Choosing Bowser.
No, I'm not doing that.
No, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
That's bullshit.
I'm playing Daisy and Wii, bro.
Right, you gotta get that off for this.
I think that's okay. What the f is the problem?
I've been seeing some practice behind the scenes, which was not allowed. So, I'll play the 5th, bro.
Once I explained the scoreboard to Lucas, had Julian start filming, and sorted out the very complex 4-player Xbox controller setup required to play the game, we managed to squish our way onto the couch and started the warm-up match of game number 1. Koopa Beach 1 is where we got our first taste of how the first ever Mario Kart controls and feels. Although we struggled at first, we were all pleasantly surprised by how fun the game actually was.
This game is fire.
Super Mario Kart is one of the few games in the championship we aren't familiar at all with.
Are we literally racing like this?
Nah.
Despite this, Rogue went hard.
Damn, we sweat mode already?
While on the topic of sweat, before we committed to 4 more races, I requested the overly hot seating arrangement to be changed.
We need to fix this couch thing. This is too tight. I say we scooch the
I say
table.
get over it.
I'm hot as
What?
I have to turn the AC on.
No.
Julian, can you hit the AC?
Don't do it.
You might be cold, but
You're the only one that's hot, Jeff.
no, we need a little cold. Low cool, and then put it halfway to the
Jeff, I'm
cold
gonna go.
bar.
Lucas had a potential remedy.
We'll use some on the ground.
There's an idea. Whoever won the last race sits in the special chair. No?
That might be a bitch with
Yikes.
controllers.
Oh, true.
Also, if you can't already tell, instead of the 2-player SNES original, we found a very well-made modded PC version that allows for 4 players, so of course we went with that. When it came time to choose the Grand Prix Cup, opinions differed.
This is cute. This is so cute.
What Grand Prix are we doing?
Anyone have a preference? Let's do something we didn't record, so let's do Mushroom Cup.
No, that seems boring. Let's do flower.
Little did we know that it didn't matter what we picked, because each cup is just filled with maps that are variations of the same themes, besides Special Cup, which includes Rainbow Road. We ended up just going with Tanner's pick, the Flower Cup. Also, we were unable to play on the 150cc speed because it needed unlocked, so we played 100 instead. Just know from here on out, unless specified otherwise, 150cc is what we played on. Race 1 of the Grand Prix took place on Choco Island 1. When really getting into it, we soon found out that with this game coming out in 1992, the 3D element wasn't going to be quite there. What was 3D versus 2D was constantly a toss-up. The mystery boxes, the confusing barricades, the mini-ramps, all were a little tricky to get used to. The race wasn't too notable, except the ending where Hudson thought he had the win.
Oh, I thought that was the last lap. I didn't know it was 4.
Yeah, you wish, bro.
Then again, except last minute, this happened. not gonna lie, felt pretty good taking the first W on day 1. Soon after, we were followed by Tanner in 4th and Rogan in 5th. Next was Ghost Valley 2, a map we instantly were afraid to see because of the Boo Ghost maps being notoriously difficult. The race had a nerve-wracking start with a near catastrophic controller disconnect.
Oh, not this.
Wait, try to pause it if you can.
Oh,
Frame perfect!
But after that crisis was nearly averted, we floored it. Ghost Valley 1 was a bit trickier than the earlier maps because the outer walls were really annoying to deal with. The lack of barricades on the map led to a bunch of pickups, especially from me.
Oh, thank God you can't fall off.
Oh my
All these are so many laps, dude.
Whoa!
Yeah, what's happening?
Oh my god.
Choke Central out here.
Once we got going though, we were locked in. We were hitting our drifts, swerving the bots, dodging the items, except for this one. This race is where we got our first taste of the weird items in Super Mario Kart, such as the feather, which allowed for a super jump.
That is the dumbest one.
The race ended with the boys taking mostly high positions, with me not doing so great. I did pick up a few spots in the last couple seconds, but overall, rough for me, alright for them. Donut Plains 2 was next up. Up to this point, we really started to notice all the weird qualities Super Mario Kart has to offer, like just how hard to control and pointless the drift really is, how sporadic the bot driving is.
The bots in this game drive so funny. Like, they're just... they're taking the optimal path at all times.
Crazy. Mario has something to prove in this one.
It's his namesake.
Yeah, Mario's in his bag right now.
And how often those bots take the mystery boxes. Also how there's 5 laps instead of 3, and your race position takes up about a third of your screen real estate. Also how the mushrooms provide an abnormally fast boost, and how green shells go crazy on walled maps. And just the fact that there isn't Donkey or Diddy Kong, but Donkey Kong Jr. And Koopa, who's not yellow, but brown. Also, you gotta mention the soundtrack. It's filled with bangers.
Bro, Koopa's looking down these games.
Oh, this is Weezy.
Now what happens on the last lap is what's really worth breaking down. Tanner, Hudson, and I are near the top. Tanner second, me third, Hudson fourth. At a very crucial moment, nearly all at the same time, I snipe Tanner with a green. Then immediately after, Tanner nails me with a red. At the same time, Hudson nails him with a red. All of this greatly shifted positions and led to Tanner never recovering.
That's called sit down, Tanner.
When asked later about the shocking shell shutdown, the confusion is apparent.
Oh yeah, there was, I forget what map it was, but it was where Tanner was in second place, and I think he thought that you red shelled him when he was in second place, but that was me, and I passed him.
Well, as always, Jeff is on the slime shit. Hit me with a red shell. Game 2, you know, I was holding second for 4 laps, and last lap, what happens, you know, I guess I'm back to 8th. He said, how do you feel about your performance? I said, well, good. Up until, you know, second game, I was holding second place for 4 laps, and Jeff, on his slime shit, hit me with a red shell on the last lap, and I was down to 8th.
That is the third game. Is that possible? It was the third game?
Yes.
Now with Hudson and I near the top and the finish coming up, I had a red shell with Hudson's name on it. Then this happens. That event combined with a disastrous drift shank and a Koopa cuck, I ended 7th with Tanner right behind me.
Brown Koopa passed my ass last second.
Brown Koopa.
Brian, he's not the same color. It's Koopa.
It's not yellow.
There's a brown Koopa?
He's not yellow, he's brown.
Hudson and Rogan were more fortunate, with them snagging the 4th and 5th positions. With that crazy race completed, there was only one left, Bowser Castle 2. Layout-wise, this was the trickiest. The design was almost maze-like, with alternate routes littered with tiny thwomps and a bunch of dead ends.
We're writing you down, Renee.
Oh, wait, you can't even go that way. What the f is that
Mach 5 speed out here.
Who's on the methodical mode of this game?
That was a fake out.
Yeah, those swamps are really fucking small.
What? Pushing up, bro. Yeah, it's a fake out. It's dastardly.
Also, the mini-ramps led to countless lava dunks, especially from Tanner, who did it over a wall with a star twice.
Whoa, this is
The race ran pretty smooth. Rogan stayed near the top, the others and I were all over the place. Slight comebacks were made, but overall not the most notable. The ending between the 4 of us was pretty close. Rogan came in second, he sent a green shell back that I barely avoided, and Hudson and Tanner had a photo finish. With that race behind us, it's time to tally up the score. Here are all the positions for all 4 races on Super Mario Kart. When totaling up the points, there was surprisingly a 3-way tie between Rogan, Hudson, and I, with Tanner close behind. But at the time, I was not known to be included in this tie, as you can see.
I think I came, I tied with Rogan. I thought Jeffrey, being a smug asshole would have, already played the game quite a bit and gotten pretty good at it, but he did pretty shit, so I'm happy about that,
I got first, tied with Hudson.
Yeah, him and Rogan tied for first, I think, in that game. Seeing how much people improved, even in 4 races, was pretty interesting. People got a grasp on it pretty well, except for you. Kind of shitted it up in the butt.
So with the first Grand Prix down, it's time to talk to the players for some post-game thoughts and about their feelings for the upcoming titles. When asked about their performances, Hudson was on his cocky shit.
Easy. Easy game.
What'd you like and what'd you dislike about Super Mario Kart?
It's really hard to tell what's happening on screen most of the time. The boxes are near impossible to hit. All the bots know how to do the boost. I don't know how to do the boost at the beginning. It was on 3, was it on 2? I don't know.
Rogan and I were playing it a bit low-key.
It was better than I expected. Could have been worse, could have been better, but not bad for a first try.
Went pretty well. The game's pretty smooth. I did well in the beginning, had a couple sleeper games, but I didn't fall too far back in the leaderboards. I'm not gonna say I'm known for it, but I do take L's every so often. I'm taking L's at my names. Some say I'm from El Salvador, but I'm known more as dub taker, but
And Tanner just had a hard time collecting his thoughts.
Excuse me.
You nervous?
Bruh, cut that. Cut.
How did you feel? You were playing
Good.
The others had some of their own takes as well.
Would have been nice to see Jeffrey do a little worse, maybe Tanner do a little better. I'm sick of Hudson winning everything, but Rogan's right there, so we'll see.
Kind of pleasantly surprised, considering the lack of experience in that game. I thought it was going to be like a complete and utter shit show, but Hudson was the most consistent. Yeah, I don't know. Rogan and Hudson, they've been I think they're my front runners, so it made sense that they were doing well in this game.
When asked about the upcoming title on the N64, feelings were mixed.
That'll be atrocious on my end. Looking to wreak as much havoc as I can and just put everyone else down.
I think people majorly sleep on my N64 skills alongside Hudson, who his skills very overrated. I'm a pretty good comparison. I think I have a high chance of winning.
I think I'll do very poor. I do not like this game. I think it's very bad. I think Hudson's way too good at it for not owning an N64 or practicing.
Some say you suck Hudson's dick about how good he is. Would you agree?
I'm definitely not sucking Jeff's. Gotta be good.
Biggest rival, as in who I think might beat me, is probably Rogan because he's pretty versatile. I'm gonna repeat again, people extremely overstate Hudson's skill. They say he might win, but I think he'll probably be dead last. The next game is N64. How do you think that's gonna pan out? You've watched a couple N64 games.
From what I hear, Hudson and Rogan.
I then asked a question that I thought had an obvious answer, but I didn't quite get the response I was looking for.
The consensus is Hudson will do the worst during this tournament. Do you agree with that consensus?
No.
I don't. That seems like a lie.
And you know Lucas would not speak an ill word on his beloved Hudson.
I don't know. It's just like comes out of like core skills, I guess, then I don't know.
While everyone was interviewing, Julian decided to set up the previously seen hidden camera, which captured some further trash talk.
Jeffrey said he thinks he's gonna win Double Dash. I said, what? You're an idiot, bro.
And some embarrassing math.
First place right now, bro? No, you're not.
No, we tied.
Well, I mean, 20 based off the points. Yeah. That'd be 12 plus 8, 20 plus 16, 32, plus 5, which is 10, 17, plus 7, 15, 24, 6, 6, 21, 8, 7, 15, 23, plus 7, 30, 15 is 23, plus 7, 30, Tanner's winning
I
right
heard my
now.
name. I heard my name.
You're winning right now. You're 1 point ahead of everyone else. Everybody's tied. Fourth is 8 plus 15, 23 plus 24, 2, 36. Hudson, 2 and 3/4, so 12 and 3/8. Would be 36. 34, 36, 36, 36.
With all that said and done, it's time to move on past Super Mario Kart. Or is it? When reviewing the footage after the fact, the behind-the-scenes slime started to form. When analyzing Rogan's gameplay especially, the never-mentioned item holding was occurring every race. We didn't even know that was possible, and if you know Rogan, you know he loves to hold items. This slime gameplay, combined with some hidden camera confessions,
Should we do up 64, get some practice in there?
pinned Rogan as the enemy early. With all that being said, the 4 races were for the most part clean. Just know, everything isn't always as it seems. Now it's time to move on to the next title. Next up was a title some were anticipating, others dreading. Once we switched up our tight couch setup with me now sitting on the arm, and then argued about jiggly joysticks for too long.
This is not good.
Give me your breath.
I don't think that's the problem. I think it's just it's the problem. No, better.
I mean, anything that's better than that. That shit is limp.
They're all the same.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would agree with that.
this is better.
Kids always be complaining about the joysticks.
Do that.
Could always be
complaining.
What? I mean, let's just. I mean, hold on. Let's get some justice here for kids complaining about the controller. I mean, like, what are we doing here?
Bro, you know what I said? Bring me up.
That
Bring
shit
me
is
up.
limp.
It's called buy your own controllers.
It was then time to play one of the hardest games in the series. When deciding on the map for the warm-up race, we got our first taste of Hudson's annoying overconfidence with the title.
I know the map we should do on.
I already know that you're Jeffrey. I'm sorry. Whatever map you pick.
We decided on Frappe Snowland, a fun map despite the undodgeable snowmen. In our friend group, 64 is known to be a title dominated by Hudson, alright for me, and a struggle for the other two.
Feature isn't clean right now.
That's the thing that's gonna age poorly.
With Hudson, though a boastful racer, his skills are solid. His hearing, not so much.
Yeah, get 3 red shells and then get that mess.
I'm talking to Peach, bro. Exactly how this race you're playing out is how I feel like these next 4 races too.
I think that's
an decent
races are gonna play out.
And that's what I just said, bro.
When it came time to decide on the GP Cup, Lucas offered an idea that didn't go over so well.
Have whoever's first player hold left until an unbiased party says stop, and then
No.
Bro.
No!
But it was when we saw the Star Cup, a GP filled with maps we all have problematic histories on, we knew that was the one to go with. Even though we all have experience on this title, know that it is a very difficult racing game with its high speeds, wonky drift, and overall weird qualities. So many weird qualities, I must list them to you in order for you to understand how strange it is to play Mario Kart 64 when you're used to the modern titles. Number 1, when playing 4-player split screen, bots are not present. Instead, the game adds annoying bombs all over the place that you have to avoid but can often phase through. Number 2, depending on the map, the actual speed of the race depends on the particular map's frame rate, meaning depending on how hard the map is for the console to process can result in sometimes incredible speed differences. Characters also have noticeable speed differences, with Toad, Peach, and Yoshi being the best picks stats wise. And third, the way items work here is very different. Green shells are so slow they often result in suicide. Red shells rarely work because they beeline to the target, which on 64's linear maps often results in them ramming into the wall. Here you receive a ridiculous 5 bananas instead of 3. On 64 you can actually lose a star by hitting a wall too hard. Mushrooms barely function as a boost, more of just the camera rocking back and forth. You can't use items when you're small, and you don't lose items when you fall off the map. There's a lot of other weird qualities, such as being able to blow your engine while Lakitu puts you down, and your race position doesn't update until you fully hit the ground. Also, race positions are often glitchy just while racing, and every so often you'll slip out for zero reason. So just know this is a funky Mario Kart title. Also know that this game is loved by Hudson and I, but despised by the other two. Keep that in mind.
God, what a horrible sight, bro.
Getting like PTSD. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get last place in every race.
This sucks.
This is the worst.
I love this game, bro.
When starting the Grand Prix, Wario Stadium was first up. This is a map known for its incredible long lap lengths.
This is lap 1 out of 3?
Its linear nature leading to items being useless, and incredibly tight corners that require skilled drifts. The first lap had everyone surprisingly close. Despite that, I couldn't help but taunt Tanner a little bit.
Tanner, you know what I call that? Tanner. This is called taking a fat L.
When finishing the lap, the group was tight. Hudson was maintaining the lead until hit with some rapid fire items, bringing him to 4th. What happened shortly after that would shock everyone. Though not 100% intentional, Hudson pulled off an extremely impressive move. Whilst 4th, Hudson hits the crowd with a lightning bolt, which unbeknownst to him was at the perfect time. Rogan, Tanner, and I were about to make a ramp jump, but we were all small, which we didn't know meant we weren't gonna make it. So, all 3 of us missed the jump and ended up on a previous portion of the map.
Make this jump! No! I missed both in it! God damn it!
On 64, some maps don't respawn you if you fall. They instead force you back to an earlier part of the race. When we realized what happened, Rogan quickly chose the right direction. I didn't at first, but eventually got it. And Tanner, he just couldn't understand what the hell happened.
What was that? Both fell. So did I.
This 3-way lightning letdown of course led to Hudson regaining first place, now with an outstanding lead that led to an easy, early first place.
I had that perfect lightning bolt where all 3 of you guys fell off halfway through the lap. Listen, you don't know shit about 64. Get the hell out of here.
That's gonna be a highlight. That was lethal. That was a shift of the laws of the universe type move.
At that point, it was just the 3 of us competing. I eventually caught back up to Rogan and then hit him with the trifecta.
Bruh, this is f***ing ridiculous. Can you not, please?
Bro, those were hitting you?
Yes.
Bruh, that's the best red shell luck I've ever had on this map.
Rogue tried some later revenge with another lightning bolt, but my ghost item protected me from that bullshit. I then finished second, leaving a banana minefield behind me, which was effective on Rogue, who came in at 3rd, leaving Tanner with a DNF. Because on 64, if you're not fast enough, the game cuts you off. Race number 2 had us on Sherbert Land, a map we associate with 2 things: very tricky depth perception with the ice gaps that, if drifted over correctly, can lead to awesome shortcuts, and the goddamn penguins. Off the bat, the first penguin got us all.
That was the all 4-car pileup on the penguin.
When a bit into the race, it started playing out like the last. Hudson taking a substantial lead, me in second, and the other two in the back. During the beginning of the race, I had a tricky time telling who was who.
Luigi and me both barely made that shit. Is it Yoshi, bro? Why do we have to choose the two green characters?
Throughout the race, everyone had their moments. Clean drifts were pulled off, penguins were surgically dodged. I even had a near pass opportunity on Hudson, but ended up falling for the old fake box trick. Hudson, of course, finished with a solid first place. I came in later with the second, and Rogan and Tanner had an incredibly close side-by-side finish. After I ranted a while on Hudson's non-stop, untouchable status,
What did I say? Hudson's gonna get those leads, and I'm getting those seconds. I could script every N64 game.
Yeah, with me first.
it was then time for Race 3. Royal Raceway was up next. This is easily one of the hardest courses in the game for several reasons. There's several water hazards, brutal turns, and a ramp that, if shanked, guarantees a last place. The race started off with me giving Hudson some light praise, though I immediately regretted it.
Hudson's kind of a streak a little bit.
I mean, he's on his ass.
Shut the up. I gave you a compliment.
When rounding the first tricky turn, everyone made it besides Tanner, who I couldn't help but taunt a bit more.
Is that why they call you Tanner Elliott? Have you always wondered what the L stands for? What is your real name?
Just like every other race, Hudson gained a lead where he wasn't reachable with items, meaning the only way I could catch up was with clean driving and tight drifts. Though everyone knew of his lead, he made sure to rub it in our faces.
I'm so far ahead, dude. Like, there's no.
You're not that far ahead, bro.
I haven't seen you. Where are you? I couldn't even tell you're back there, bro. For all I know, I'm just racing by myself.
Continuing with the race, Tanner found himself again back in the water for not one, but 2 times. Going into lap 3, we were all pretty spread out. While Hudson was cruising solo, I was busy hitting myself with a green shell, Tanner was busy being lost, and Rogan was busy being eerily quiet. Shortly after Hudson finished with another first, Tanner again found himself drenched and defeated. I was back finishing my final lap when this bullshit happened.
When you're small, you don't make the
What happened?
When you're tiny, you make the.
Bro, we learned this.
What? They rolled it back! Dude, I gotta hit up the depths on that one, bro.
Rogan as well dealt with the lightning cuckery, but with a different bolt, but seemed unfazed. Right after I slid my way into second, Rogan and Tanner were battling for third, but to no one's surprise, Tanner ended up in the water for an embarrassing 5th time, leading to another DNF for him. With those wacky races behind us and a couple more broken record rants from me, we only had one race left on Bowser's Castle, a map we believe runs at the fastest frame rate, making it also one of the hardest maps in the game. Going into the final race, I knew I needed an edge to beat Hudson at least once. I then attempted a team up with Tanner, who was down on his luck, but I was quickly shot down.
Tanner, what team?
No collusion.
At this point, with 3 fourth places, Tanner knew he needed a comeback.
You can pull out a miraculous first place on this map. The hardest map in the game.
When getting into it, Bowser's Castle is a map that heavily relies on RNG, more specifically Thwomp RNG. The Thwomps present in 64 form impenetrable walls that require extreme luck to get past. If ever hit by one, prepare for a cutscene length feather fall animation. This final N64 race was a weird one. Hudson was, of course, on top, but Tanner, of all people, was keeping up with him. Rogan and I were way behind them, with me especially struggling with thwomps, lava pits, and again hitting myself with green shells. Near the end, it got to a point where Tanner was about to pass Hudson. He was about to pull off that miraculous first place he mentioned earlier, but after a double thwomp block and a classic Tanner self-sabotage,
I thought it was break.
Hudson snagged the W, leaving Tanner with second. Then it was only me and Rogan battling for the final positions. Rogan was on my tail until I decided to bring him down Banana Alley, if you know what I mean. That temporary slowdown didn't last too long because when nearing the finish, I was, according to Tanner, which led straight into my biggest choke yet. At that point, I realized what Tanner mentioned earlier was ringing true now.
It's uncomebackable.
Because that shank led to Rogan snagging his third and me a DNF, helped by hitting myself with a blue shell of all items. With the 4 races completed, time to update the scores. Here are all the positions for Mario Kart 64. When totaling up the points, the 3-way tie was of course broken with Hudson, assuming a strong first, me in second, and Rogan and Tanner close with 2 points in between. With this only being the second game, everyone's still at a good standing. Definitely no runaways quite yet. With Hudson sitting pretty with 4 first places, he couldn't help but clown me one more time.
That's some good points, though. I'll take 3 fourths. I'll take those. Hudson. Bro, we gotta get back with the interviews.
When asked about their performance, was there any shock on Hudson's response?
So, Hudson, you've had a couple good games. Do you think you're
A couple. I'm saying I had 4 first places in a row, bro. You saying a couple good games? It just sounds to me like you're trying to diminish, you know.
Who came in second place on 64?
I don't remember. I don't know their name. I don't know their name, dude. I'm sorry.
Do you think your confidence level's getting too high? This early?
No.
2 games out of the 13, you've had a little luck, but there's a lot of different control schemes coming up.
Listen, all right? 64, I knew the strats. You guys didn't even know how to drift, all right?
Rogan and I kept it mostly positive.
Not great, but I only took last place 1 time, which is better than usual. We kind of had some races there. It was kind of Jeff and Hudson versus Tanner and I.
I think I did exactly how I was gonna do. Close to first, I held the first position a long time, but I get in the beginning and Hudson always gets way too far ahead where items can't even hit him, but I'm happy how I did.
And again, Tanner had issues putting together a statement.
It was poor, as expected. Same old sabotage from Jeffrey. You know, programming in red shells.
Why are you stuttering?
Rogan was then questioned on his suspicious silence throughout the game.
I was just focused, yeah. Trying to, get the drifts, not run into walls or anything. The bombs especially.
And you know Rogan couldn't go without mentioning it one more time.
Just the controls are so weird and the issues with the joystick.
When talking to all the players, thoughts on Hudson were mixed.
Do you think it's gonna last, or do you think he just got lucky?
It's all downhill from here.
I mean, downtown Hudson Brown, easy dub. Knew it the whole way through. Knew it before I drove here. Clear as day.
So we saw Hudson dominate, and I'm worried for the rest of the boys. I don't know if they can come back after that. Earlier I said that he was going to win the whole thing, but if he gets in his own head about it, it's not going well.
Not only was Hudson's skill discussed, but also Tanner's lack of it.
I'm saying you got to make the others think they have a chance until you really strike.
He did slack in this last one, but for being honest, I'm rooting for him to win the whole thing. So I know Tanner's going to come back on the Wii.
He knew it'd be shaky on 64. I think that was probably to be expected. Probably the least season of everybody who was playing on 64.
And just for fun, you know I had to stir the pot a little.
If Lucas was to play in this tournament, how would he place?
We don't have to talk about that.
Tanner said that if you were in the tournament, you'd probably do terribly.
Really? He's probably right, but also f*** him for that.
When asked about the upcoming titles, specifically on Game Boy, the players were, for the most part, confident.
Well, I haven't played it in 10 plus years, since a child on the school bus. Maybe I'll do okay.
I think Double Dash coming up is going to be a strong one for me. Mario Kart DS will be strong, and maybe the arcade games.
The next game up is Mario Kart Super Circuit. Do you think that you'll have an advantage playing on a 70-inch TV while everyone else plays on 2-inch Game Boys?
I don't know how to respond to that. I'm trying to capture footage for my viewers, so that's what you gotta do. I didn't make the rules. Find me a Game Boy with a capture device in it.
What's wrong with pointing a camera at it?
Don't have enough cameras.
I don't know who's got Game Boy experience. I want to say maybe
It was Rogan's first game ever.
Oh, that might be a wrap.
I'm thinking I used to shred it up on Hot Wheels Circuit on the Game Boy, and there's no shot I'm not taking first place.
You think those skills will translate well?
Yeah.
While on the topic of off-brand racers having potential skill crossover, Tanner overshared a tad.
I heard you play Pac-Man racing. What are your thoughts?
Fire game. Did steal one from a family video when I was 10.
Now that the notorious Mario Kart 64 was in the past, it was then time to move on to the championship's first mobile title. Going into this next title, we knew the setup would be strange. With this being a Mario Kart title on the Game Boy Advance, we needed a way to have 4 people play together while also recording some gameplay, which is easier said than done. We also needed not just 1 copy of the game, but 4 in order to access all the content and not all have to play different colored Yoshis with only 1 cup option. So after we scrounged up the needed items, our setup ended up being Rogan, Hudson, and Tanner on Game Boy SPs, blue, gray, and red accordingly, each with their own copy of the game, and then me on the Game Boy Player GameCube attachment, which allows you to play Game Boy games on your TV, thus able to be recorded. We would have done 4 of those Game Boy players to keep it fair, but acquiring that many with the needed discs wouldn't be easy or cheap, let alone 3 other TVs and capture cards, etc, etc. So for the others, we went old school 2010 YouTube style with it and just pointed a camera at the other screens. The last step was to connect our Game Boys and player together with our Mad Catz link cable, and then finally we were ready to tackle the first handheld title. Off the bat, I thought I would dominate here. With me being the one on the GameCube, I assumed the racing would feel identical to the upcoming GameCube title, Double Dash. But as you will find out, that was not the case. Before we go down that ranty road, here's a few things you need to know about Super Circuit off the rip. Super Circuit is similar to 64 with the 4-player mode not including bots. Thankfully, no bombs were in their place this time. Also know that this is a coin-based Mario Kart game. Not technically the first, Super Mario Kart was, but with us playing the modded version, we didn't deal with them. There are several coin-based titles in the future, so I'm just going to explain how they work now instead of for every game where coins are a mechanic. Every game's coin system is a little different, but this is how they typically work. You start off with some coins, but acquire more by picking them up around the course, normally with a cap of 10. More coins means slightly faster speed with each coin collected, again up to 10, except this title, which allows 55 coins. And yes, you do increase speed incrementally up to 55. It sounds game breaking and probably is, but none of us got high coin counts, so the speed difference really never played a role. And lastly, know that Rogan is the only person to have played this before. Keep that in mind. With that out of the way, we set up on the table.
Can I get that head down a little bit?
Don't talk to me.
Cameras started rolling, character stats were compared.
Wait, we got stats?
I like that though. Speed. Whoa! I don't want the speed on Bowser.
Whoa, what happened to use the same character?
Toad speed compared to Bowser's. What the? I'll keep the same characters. My speed's a 1 on Bowser. I'll take
It
it.
was your idea.
Arms were kept still.
Keep them down, bro. Even if you get angry.
My arms are going.
Okay, let's get it started.
And the warm-up race was selected. Cheeseland is what we decided on purely for its weird name. Immediately when we started, we were all blown away by how fast 150 cc's felt, especially for me on the big screen.
Oh, this is fast as Jesus Christ, dude. This is so trippy out here. Dude, you got the advantage of the Game Boy.
Shut up.
Something I need to make painfully clear is I know rule number 7 was can't blame the controller, but my god, Super Circuit is incredibly harder with a GameCube controller over using a Game Boy. This became abundantly clear to me right away, and no matter how much I tried to tell the others that, they didn't believe me.
This is way harder than I thought it was going to be. Crazy fast pace on my screen.
We're playing the same game, bro.
I know, but maybe I'm too close to the screen. That's just too much for my eyes.
What? That combined with the abhorrent frame rate compared to handheld just added to the difficulty. So I'll try my best not to blame it as the reasoning behind my lackluster performance, but no promises. Super Circuit visually has the same issues as Super Mario Kart with the 2D passed off his 3D look. We eventually got it, but the first jump had us super confused.
What the was that?
This is AIDS.
Wait, what happened?
You get
This
you have to
plays
make
like
the ramp. You have to make the ramp.
What the hell was that? Wait, no, actually what happened?
Up in
Shut
there.
up.
Oh, you have to make that jump. This is a terrible one. Well, we committed to it. Also, later in the race, Hudson misses the jump as well. Even Rogue, the Super Circuit veteran, almost missed the jump, but only because of a lightning bolt. After that shit show, I of course got lapped and actually ended up messing up Hudson with my nonsensical driving, leading to Rogan passing him for the warm-up dub. Near the end of the race, I realized that on the GameCube, you have to be non-stop drifting left and right, back and forth in order to maintain somewhat straight racing. At the end, when the 3 others finished, I was then introduced to the thwomp that immediately crushes you if you're last. With how shaky that race went, I had a feeling this wasn't going to be the only time seeing him. When it was time for the Grand Prix, the Lightning Cup was selected, meaning Luigi's Circuit was first up. Not only did I struggle with the impossible controls again, but add to the equation slippery water puddles scattered all over the place, which honestly everyone had a hard time with.
Dude, the water comes out of nowhere.
The race is mostly notable for me just non-stop ranting about how I screwed myself on the GameCube the whole time. This is gonna take me so long to get good at. I'm dog shit at this game. I should have passed this off to someone else. This could be 3/4 or 4/4 places. Bro, I can't stand the course. It's so hard with this controller. That is besides the end where Hudson pulled off an impressive finish.
You passed me?
Yeah, I had a mushroom at the end.
The end positions ended up with Rogan snagging a clean first, Hudson with that sly second, and Tanner with a third. And me, well, I was greeted by Mr. Thwomp yet again. With my confidence at a newfound low and my excuses running dry, it was time to move on. Sky Garden was the next course in the cup. Right off the bat, Tanner had zero sympathy for my struggle. I didn't even get close to finishing. I got halfway through the third lap. There's no shot. I'm even getting third place. It's so hard on the GameCube controller. Soon after his bullying, he was brought back with the memory of playing the Sky Garden course before.
Wait, I've played this game before.
It's coming back to you?
Yeah, this map. I played it with my cousin when I was like 9 or something, because I didn't have the game, he had it.
Thus confirming his experience on the title as well.
Dude, this is just like the Hot Wheels game I played, no cap.
Up to this point, I've had to deal with shit controls, slippery puddles, and now a lack of walls. Whoa, you can fall off. Jesus Christ.
I messed up that drift for you.
That Lackity drop is slow. Lackity, any f***ing day now. Or Lackatu, whatever his name is. That guy. Let's just say I had a hard time staying on the course. Oh my god.
Yeesh.
Oh, it's bad, bro.
Still. Who's in first right now?
I wasn't the only one, with Hudson struggling on the Wallace map as well. The race played out with Rogan snagging first after surviving a crucial lightning bolt from Hudson, allowing him to pass Tanner, who shortly after followed up Rogan with a second. What happened right after that would lead to one of the most controversial moments in the championship. Mere seconds after Tanner passed the finish line, he set his Game Boy down, causing this to happen.
Whoa, what just happened?
No! At the time, no one was known to be the cable cuck culprit, but after analyzing the footage, I can confirm Tanner's overly aggressive Game Boy drop caused the disconnect. The immediate reaction was, do we redo the race? Redo the cup even? We didn't know. We weren't prepared for this happening. Rogan was especially nervous because of his first place now possibly not counting.
We'll just restart.
Did you finish that game?
No. We had to count. We gotta count that. That was pretty much settled, right?
Once we realized Rogue and Tanner both crossed the finish line, and Hudson was about to as well, with me having zero chance of getting anything but fourth, we just determined Hudson third place and me fourth place. Oh, then that's guaranteed.
Yeah,
we don't need to read that.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. With that nearly championship-ending scare behind us, and after the group shared their love for the title,
I like this one.
Yeah, this is fun.
Good.
This one is
fun. I like this one.
it was then time to reconnect and select the next map in the cup, Cheap Cheap Island. This map was notable for, again, being easy to fall off of, and if that wasn't enough, add to that crabs that needed dodging.
You motherfucking crab mother.
The start had me thinking I might actually be getting the hang of the controls.
Oh, I actually see someone.
Oh my god.
Oh, that was short-lived.
The water hazard here was strange. Occasionally we'd find ourselves skipping over the water, but other times it would take us under.
We're so out of this bitch. I'm not even going the right way.
Also, just the map's overall tricky layout led to everyone struggling during some point in the race. Especially Tanner, who, like in 64, pulled off another double dunk.
Back in the f***ing right.
Tanner, you're getting scammed.
When midway through the race, Lucas had another one of his classic ideas that went nowhere.
I think we should do DS next because we're already in handheld setup.
Bro, we gotta play them in order.
Come on.
When nearing the finish, Hudson looked like he had the W. But despite having 3 green shells around him, Rogan sniped him with the red.
Why did that just happen?
Hudson's slight slowdown wouldn't matter because there was no stopping Rogue, who out of nowhere activated GOAT mode.
That was insane. No! Timestamp that.
Rogan then of course ended first, then Hudson with a salty second, Tanner with another third, and me, you ought to know by now. Even with this race completed, my failure excuses still weren't being heard by the others.
Way later,
It's like
I'll
a little bit of
this
color
and
out
see
of
how
it. And that
slippy slide it is.
It was then time for the 4th and final race on Sunset Wilds, a map covered with questionable roadblocks.
Is that dog shit on the road? Oh, that's a rock. It looks like a pile of shit.
Including teepees that, when hit, causes a shy guy to hilariously latch onto your back. At this point, I was at my wit's end with Super Circuit. I could feel my good standing in the leaderboard slowly slipping away with my inevitable 4th coming up.
This is a ass game. I hate this game.
As the race carried on, I felt myself finally getting a hold of the controls. I even got close enough to actually see another player, who I then roasted for being even near my underperforming ass.
Player 4 is low-key buns.
The race continued with me making a temporary pass on Rogan, Hudson hitting himself with a red shell,
Why did that happen? I was holding it behind me. I just threw a red shell at myself, I think.
and Tanner, who was not having it with the 0 coin spin out mechanic found in this game.
Dude, why do you, if you hit someone and you hit, oh my god, that has me enraged. Dude, that is the dumbest mechanic ever introduced in any video game of all time.
Here, if you have 0 coins, merely touching another player spins you out. We weren't aware this was a thing, but we definitely felt something was off, especially Tanner.
Dude, the mechanic where if you spin someone out and you hit them, you spin out too?
That's flawless logic.
No, it's not.
With the finish coming up, I was surprisingly up with the boys until a brutal wall shank.
Kind of tight. Dude.
Soon after that, Hudson snagged his first win, Tanner surprisingly grabbed second, Rogan snagged his first time third, and I was on track to, of course, get 4th, but this time actually passing the finish line. Then this happened.
Damn.
What on the finish line, bro?
Jeffrey.
I almost passed Luigi.
And then it hit me how this would impact my standing.
Luckily, I'm only 4th, so what am I getting?
8.
8 points times 4, okay. How much points am I? Wow, that's a lot of points lost, though.
Now that that tumultuous Grand Prix was finally completed, time to update the scoreboard. Here are all the positions for Mario Kart Super Circuit. As you can see, Rogan had his best performance by far, snagging 3 firsts out of the 4 races. This led to him taking the 2nd spot from me, who at this point dropped to 4th, which was no surprise after my numerous L's. Tanner and Hudson both had so-so performances. Hudson's was good enough to maintain the lead, and Tanner's was fine enough to rise out of last place. With those scores considered and tempers still high from the GP, you know what time it is. The players were first asked how they thought they did overall.
After your winning streak, last game happened. You want to explain?
I'm not gonna answer that question. We can move on to the next one.
Though performing alright, Hudson was out for blood.
Listen, okay, Game Boy was not that hot for me. I have the thumbs of a man, not a small child, okay? I'm not over here trying to do all these minute little turns and shit, okay? Look, I play real men's games like Mario Kart 64. I'm not over here on the f***ing DS like Rogan with his tiny little baby hands, you know, steering the carts, getting around the corners really quick.
You said something a little about Rogan.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on his gameplay so far? He's been saying that you're doing better than he expected.
Oh, wait, what?
Rogan, as per normal, kept it chill.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to get first place all 4, but last one didn't go so well. It's okay though.
Tanner was 100% coherent this time and kept it positive.
Only last game did you start to not be last place. Do you think you're gonna ride this momentum for the next couple?
I plan to.
For me, well, I bet you can guess my thoughts on the game.
It's dog shit. It's so hard. There was zero chance I was getting anything but fourth, and I was running into walls, falling off. There was no chance. It was so hard. All I gotta say is the numbers don't lie. I've been proving myself so far. I slacked on this one, but I've given enough reason why. The Game Boy, GameCube player sucks ass. Anyone who wants to debate me, pick one up and try to play it.
I got to a point where I was on full-on denial mode.
Well, the one race, I made it to the finish line, so it's debatable whether I was really stomped that last time. You know, like I said, not my fault, it's the game's fault.
When asking the cameramen who directly oversaw the gameplay their thoughts on the performances, Tanner was praised.
He seemed to pick it up a little bit on the leaderboards, would you agree?
Yes, I was very impressed. Yeah, it's either between Rogan or Tanner. The other two I don't care about.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just getting a taste. He wants the full load.
When attempting to lure Lucas into finally talking trash on Hudson,
You oversaw the footage of Hudson and Rogan. Compare the gameplay for Mario Kart Super Circuit.
he answered the first part of the question,
I think Rogan tapped into some childhood memories, and that helped him kind of stack up and get the job done.
but diverted when it came to his golden boy.
I couldn't really. I was more focused on whether it was clear than like what they were doing on the screen, so it's hard to say.
And then just full-on praised him once again.
He's got good fundamentals. I have faith. We'll see.
Though, again, acknowledging Hudson's alright performance, the crowd still had their thoughts about him.
I think that N64 is kind of his strong suit, and then just downhill from here.
I want to see him in the dirt. I know we're all buddy-buddy out there, but you know, it's f***ing.
As the interviews carried on, things got toxic.
Do you think it would have been a different story if Jeffrey was on Game Boy?
No. I think it would have been, you know, different, you know, screens.
Why are you stuttering? Why are you stuttering?
Because I have a mental disability, Jeffrey, okay? Listen. I'm mentally handicapped, Jeffrey, alright? You ableist piece of shit? F you, Jeffrey!
We just went on a drink break and you bought a lot of alcohol. Are you trying to drink away your bad games?
What bad games?
Only...
Why are you stuttering?
Keep that in.
The players were then asked about their thoughts on the upcoming titles.
Very confident. I think people sleep on my double dash skills over the years. I think it's the smoothest controls for any Mario Kart. The drifting is airtight. If I'm not first, I won't be last. Know that.
Who do you think is going to be the biggest threat in Double Dash?
Rogan, I guarantee Tanner and Hudson will be no threats on Double Dash. Especially Hudson, I just remember him being very bad at that game.
The mobile, you know, I'm a little nervous, but don't tell the competition because they can't know that.
I think once we get to Mario Kart 8, I'm gonna win that. Honestly, I think Rogan is probably the most likely to win out of everybody, but also, I think he can go himself.
Though not for a while, the future title Mario Kart Wii was mentioned several times.
Rogan and his specialty are Mario Kart Wii, and he probably has an edge on me, so I really gotta show up.
Which one in particular are you fearing, Tanner?
We.
There's rumors that you are the best at Wii, but there's also rumors that Tanner might win. Who do you think's got the dub there?
Oh, I think it's a coin toss, honestly.
Can you explain the nickname given you, Tanner One Trick Pony Wixie?
It means I run house on Mario Kart Wii.
What happens if you don't do well at Wii?
Embarrassment.
With that brings the end of game number 3, Mario Kart Super Circuit. Now it's time to move on to a title we've been waiting for. Game number 4 found us on the GameCube for a title we have a lot of experience on. With that being said, this is a game with no crowned best player. The victor really depends on the day. Once the boys each had their controller plugged in and I tuned my wireless GameCube controller, the Wavebird, to the correct channel, it was then time to compete in one of the most polished, unique, charming, chill, yet competitive Mario Kart games. For those who don't know, Double Dash gets its name from the game's primary new mechanic, double character racing. Here, instead of picking just one character, you have the option of swapping between two, of course with varying weights and different kart options, but also with new exclusive special items. Before we get into those, we first had to each frantically choose our two characters.
Dash.
Even with the new 2-character option, the stick to the same character rule still applied, which Hudson didn't realize.
Yeah, you're not Wario, you're Yoshi, bro.
Wait, I have to pick Yoshi?
Yeah, as one of yours, yes.
And Tanner apparently didn't care about. The reason behind the mad dash was because each of us knew which one of those special items we wanted access to. In Double Dash, there are 20 playable characters with 9 different special item options. The special items correspond with the similar characters and, in our opinion, vary in effectiveness. Since I already chose Bowser in the beginning, I was fortunate to have access to my favorite special item, the Big Bowser Shell. I then chose Donkey Kong as my partner, not only because I like heavies, but because of his giant banana, another favorite of mine. Each of those items are fun to use, but frustrating to play against. Let's just say the crowd was not a fan of this pairing.
Oh, you took Bowser and Donkey Kong, bro?
That's devious.
Slime City. Bowser, Donkey Kong.
Yeah, you for that one. That's some slime ass shit.
When it came to the other players, Rogan had access to the fireballs with Luigi, a splitting explosive projectile, first seen in Super Mario Kart, and golden mushrooms because of his passenger being Toadette. Hudson had access to Yoshi eggs with Yoshi, large projectile items that once they connect to a target, crack open to reveal 3 more items. He also had Bob-Bombs, standard projectile bombs, usable via his Wario choice. And Tanner, with his illegal Daisy selection, had access to Hearts, a protective force field item that also allows you to reclaim items being used against you. Also, triple red and triple green shells, possible because of his Paratroopa sidekick choice. The only other special item which we didn't have access to is the Chain Chomp, an item exclusive to Baby Mario and Baby Luigi. It works similar to the bullet item found in other games, but a little slower and more aggressive. There's other unique features to Double Dash, like double item boxes, the ability to item steal, which we never did, the ability for 2 players to man 1 car, which we didn't use because of the championship, of course, more new weird characters, and hell, the fact that this is the first title to not use sprites for the characters, with everyone now being fully 3D. And lastly, you need to know that this is again a title where bots aren't present in 4-player split screen, meaning only 4 positions are possible. With all that said, once Lucas quit dancing and once Tanner started his coping process, it was time to start the warm-up race, which took place on Mushroom Bridge, a map chosen for its easy nature. Well, at least that's what I thought.
Warm-up race.
Basic map. It's gonna be bonk to the or bonk to the.
Bro, this ain't a bonking one.
Since we're very experienced with Double Dash's controls, the race was rather smooth. Despite that, Hudson did have a little trouble in the middle with a triple red shell sabotage. Near the end of the race, after a clean shortcut from me, the finish was looking to be a close one. The final positions came to the closest photo finish of the championship yet.
Oh!
There's a frame, dude.
I wish that was.
I swear to God, it blipped second place for a microsecond.
It definitely did.
After that craziness, it was then time to select the Grand Prix Cup. We all knew the Special Cup was not happening because of its brutal maps, but when I offered the Star Cup as an option is when the crowd really became vocal.
Let's just do this.
Dude, are we sure? No, the second one.
Once Tanner quit obsessing over my furniture, and after Lucas stopped being so weird.
Lucas, at the end of each race, can you check to make sure that thing doesn't die? Or hasn't died?
Yeah.
Okay.
We then decided on the Mushroom Cup for the GP. Luigi Circuit was the first map up. Though sharing the name of a prior map, this is completely different, just to be clear. The race started off with us all being thankful that we're finally on a title with decent controls, especially with its super tight drift.
Having some good drifts feels so refreshing.
I'm not used to it now. I'm used to the awful ones.
This first race was a sweaty one. Everyone was so honed in that there wasn't much talking at all. Everyone kept close for most of the race, especially into the crazy final lap. Hudson and I were both starred up. With that star, Rogan was hit by Hudson.
Oh no!
Soon after, Tanner throws a blue shell that not only hits Hudson, but me a little as well.
No!
Which I was not pleased about.
You son of a bitch! You bitch! You sent me back, you mother...
Amidst my rage, I pull out one of those big boy Bowser shells, but nothing comes of it. When it was time to cross the finish line, an even crazier photo finish occurred.
That's game for me.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, I was first and I was
Oh my god, yes.
Let's go, Tanner.
That was so
First game.
That was one of the closest races we've had across all games. That was
What the
that was
Last second, I
insane.
shot down 2 places. Bro, the nipple's coming out.
What? The nipples coming
Nipple with the milk.
As you can see, in a matter of milliseconds, I go from first to third, with Tanner snagging the first, Rogan second, and Hudson, the only one not in the three-way blink and miss it finish, of course ended fourth, and wasn't happy about it, and tried to foreshadow my future.
Who got 4th?
I did some.
You guys second?
Jeffrey's about to choke and get for it every match. Every match. Watch. Jeffrey's gonna get for it every match.
A club I said earlier is gonna age well after that one, bro. If I'm not first, I won't be last. Know that.
It was then time for race number 2 on Peach Beach, a pretty simple map that isn't too hard besides there being another hard to dodge bird present, the Cataquacks, aka, come on, the meme makes itself there, the Catacucks, who are a major pain in the ass. Early in the race, Tanner pulled off his classic double or nothing move right off the bat.
No.
After Rogan took a clean shortcut, he nearly fell victim to the Catacucks as well, but pulled off a dirty duck dodge on it.
Yeah, that was dastardly.
Later on, Hudson became the first to be hit by one of my notorious big shells.
Why, Jeffrey?
Because I said so.
Maybe you lose an item too.
I call it shots. How do you know it's me?
Because you're the only one with the shells, bruh.
Yeah, you're right.
Then shortly after, pulls a Tanner with the double bird beatdown.
The bird hit me twice.
And they get ready.
Me too, though. Those things were savage.
You fucking bonking bitch.
Shortly after we both recovered, Hudson and I had an encounter similar to a few games ago.
That's game!
As the race was coming to an end, I attempted to make a comeback while in fourth, but everyone was so spread out, with the final positions being Tanner first, Hudson second, Rogan third, and me in a depressing fourth. During my rant about the Catacuckolds, Hudson dropped this flop of a joke.
Bird things, whatever the f they're called.
Tanner, with some cheap.
I still couldn't stop though. I had more to say, no matter how nonsensical it was.
These L's have not been legit.
Shut the f up, bro.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
You're an idiot. What do you mean?
All I'm saying is I'm playing well, but I'm getting hit with items.
It was then time for race number 3, which took place on the crowd favorite Baby Park, a map infamous for being fast-paced with short, more than normal laps, with there being 7. Now, when we normally play, we raise the amount to the max of 9 laps, but before we started, for the championship, we changed the settings back to the default 3, not knowing it would also affect this map.
Lap 1 of 3.
Literally, you're red.
So with Baby Park being 3 laps instead of 7, the race was super fast and the crowd was pissed. The race clocked in at only 48 seconds, causing it to not be the most notable. The key with Baby Park is to cut your corners as slim as possible in order to win. This was the case for me, who worked their way up to first place going into the 3rd lap. This lead was maintained until Tanner came in with the slimy star stun.
Somebody needs to get me.
You bitch!
I'm hitting lines.
You f***ing bitch! You hit me with an item on the 3rd lap, you son of a
Rogan first. Rogan first.
Yeah, isn't that usually 7 laps?
Clean first, and then the items in the that's game for the championship.
Okay.
This major slowdown led to Rogan snagging the win instead. Tanner ended up with an extremely close behind second, then Hudson third, and me a DNF, which almost never happens on Double Dash.
It was only 3 that time instead of 7.
That was literally like probably like 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Should we run it again and compound the scores?
No.
Nah.
That was way too short. I got 3rd. Where'd Jeffrey get?
Yourself.
Let's just say with this many L's, I was fed up.
It just really comes down to slimy item usage. Baby Park. You can watch the footage. I'm first almost the entire time. Get hit with a star.
I got first on Baby Park, even though it's kind of a fluke because there's only 3 laps.
Who was the one who pulled out the star on lap 3 at Baby Park?
Who was the one who won on Baby Park?
Answer the first question.
I answered your question with a question. Only matters when you get first.
Any memorable moments from Double Dash, the 4 races?
Everybody being disappointed at how short that the 3rd race was.
The 3-lap Baby Park, I don't know what that was. I've never seen that, so.
What is funky about that?
I thought it was 7 laps, but there was only 3. But Jeffrey got slimed, so that was great to see. Deservedly slimed.
I was gonna ask undeservingly slammed, question mark?
No.
With that controversial course behind us, there was only one race left on Dry Desert, a relatively easy map with some obstacles, but overall not too difficult. At this point, I felt like I had nothing to lose. It had been forever since I got a position above 3rd. I was becoming quite irritable, especially with not knowing how to do the boost every race.
What's the boost? Tapping? That boost is a lie, bro. Are you gonna lie to me about the boost again? What is it again? Tell me again.
You just hit A when it.
I was supposed to start
Oh.
today.
Liars.
When getting into the race, notable moments started occurring right away. When midway through the first lap, Hudson, for a second time in the championship, when attempting to red shell me, pulled off a seemingly impossible move.
Red shell just hit me.
That was crazy.
I see a red shell. I
Dude, that was a
great back and hit me.
That was a crazy clip.
That was my own shell, bro.
After that, I don't know if the game felt bad for me, but my item luck was perfect from there on out. I obtained a star at the crucial time near the sand sinkhole, allowing me to grab the lead, and then again in the same spot on the next lap, further solidifying the lead. While I was up there cruising solo, the others were busy focusing on Rogan's ridiculous sounding character.
He's dragging.
Oh my god.
Sounds like a f***ing goat, bruh.
I then shortly after successfully pulled off a rarely achieved Bowser Shell collateral.
Let's go! That was nice.
After that small victory, I did eventually lose the lead, but not for long after I nailed Tanner with another one of those Bowser Shells,
Dude, I'm cringing out at the giant shells.
nailed Rogan with a red shell, and Hudson, well, he had other problems. With the finish coming up and my lead still holding strong, I finally found myself with a first place. The first one I received since the beginning of the championship.
Alright, about time!
After I finished, Rogan and Tanner looked to be following me up until Hudson, now back on the ground, flies by them with a triple mushroom, snagging an impressive second, leaving Rogan with 3rd and Tanner in familiar territory with a 4th. When the cup was completed, Rogue broke his long-standing silence with a little salty remark aimed my way.
Is that Jeffrey's first place?
Yeah.
Is this the first finger you received tonight? No.
Now it's time to check back on the scoreboard. Here are all the scores for Mario Kart Double Dash. As you can see, the positions have not changed, with Hudson remaining first, Rogan second, Tanner third, and me still 4th. When totaling up the points just for Double Dash, I'm very sad to admit I did receive the fewest amount.
If I'm not first, I won't be last. Know that.
Even still, everyone is still close to one another with roughly 10 points separating the positions. With this being the most insane, debatably most controversial Grand Prix yet, the players were ready to enter my bathroom for the Right away, everyone was asked again about their performances. Hudson this time was a bit out of character and kept it strangely calm.
I did okay. I had like 2 seconds, I think a third and a fourth. So not great, but you know, it could have been worse. I didn't do as great on Double Dash as I would have liked to. Probably one of my favorites, honestly. I really like having the 2 different characters and like the special items that you get and stuff. I just think it's like one of the more unique ones.
Then immediately reverted back to his old ways.
Well, I'm still gonna win, obviously, because you suck ass, Jeffrey.
Rogan was, as always, non-confrontational.
I thought it was pretty good. I didn't get last, which is always good. Yeah, about what I expected.
So I tried to get it out of him.
It appears you're getting a little cocky as we're gotten through a couple games. Is this because of your terrible performance early in the tournament?
I don't think I did that bad early in the tournament.
Tanner was again surprisingly confident.
Describe how you did on Mario Kart Double Dash.
Killed it.
What were your rankings?
First, second, fourth.
What happened in the 4th race? I wouldn't say killed it.
Slime. Typical slime. Finally, a game with mechanics that actually make sense and some solid drifting, so that was refreshing. Looking forward to the games, that were produced in this century.
For me, I needed a minute on my salty soapbox.
I think if you look at the footage, I maintained first for a good portion of most maps. I did pull a first on the 4th. The one before that, Cheap Beach, more item slime, and yeah, I think I got robbed of my wins there. I'm not happy with where I'm at. I haven't done the math, and I don't think anyone really knows, but I'm assuming I'm close to the bottom with Tanner.
With this being undoubtedly the most exciting series of races yet, the 2 observers spoke praise of the game as well.
Double Dash is by far my favorite game to watch when it comes to Mario Kart.
Is it the speed? Is it the different maps? Is it the
It's the slime and the items.
Adds good conflict?
Right. There's a lot of trash talk.
But yeah, I mean, games are super close. It's exciting. Definitely the best experience I've been watching so far. I think the footage shows that, and we haven't had races that tight yet. I mean, we haven't gotten like the heavy hitter titles that much yet.
Julian then admitted to some questionable behind-the-scenes dealings.
It appears that Tanner's on the upward swing and Hudson's on the downward. Would you agree with that?
I agree. I mean, I put a lot of money on Tanner, so it's good to see.
And Lucas, it was just a matter of time until he sucked off you-know-who.
Hudson hasn't had like a lot. Like he swept 64, but he's been like mad consistent. Like, I don't think he's had a placing below 5.
Special items and their moral ambiguity was another topic of discussion.
Would you describe the big Bowser shell as item slime?
No, I think it requires a lot of skill because there's a lot of risk involved with that. A lot of times you get hit with that shell, but when you hit it, you can knock out several, as I did. What are your thoughts on the special items in Double Dash?
Definitely some f***ing slime. Daisy's item, which is what I play, sucks. It's just a f***ing heart that protects you from items. And then, we got the broken Bowser who gets to throw a shell that's the size of the track.
Did you get hit with this said shell?
Yes.
When asked about specific moments during the 4 races, the players' memories were a bit foggy.
Yeah, on Cheap Beach when I passed you multiple times, and then I think I hit you with an item or something. I think I hit you with a star maybe on the last lap. I had a star and I hit you, and I f***ed you. I don't know. Well, that was the one you did bad in, right?
Didn't do great on the...
Well, I don't know. F*** you, that's my answer. That's my answer. F*** you whenever I hit you with an item.
Let me tell you about race 2. Lap 1. Trevor gives me the red shell. He says, that's why they call you Tanner L. Taker. And what happened at the end? Everyone remembers. First place.
Can you ever remember what the insult was? Because I don't recall that was the nickname given.
Well, either way, it was incorrect, as I cleaned up house.
How would you describe a 4th place other than an L? Lost for words?
Lost for a chance for, a comeback.
You've been on the comeback, though.
Damn right I have.
Because you can only go up with your score.
Instead of Hudson receiving the normal slander,
He seems to be better at the older titles, so the weird games.
my name was thrown around quite a few times instead.
Jeffrey is the trash talk king, and he can't back it up ever.
Did he used to back it up?
No, never.
It just seemed like every race at the end, Jeff thought he was on something, and then just, he seemed spinning out Donkey Kong and Bowser, eating bananas on the side of the road.
Well, who won?
And everyone's zoom, 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 passing.
Who won the 4th game?
I don't know, Rogue, Hudson, maybe me.
Again, the group was asked about their feelings on the upcoming games.
I mean, I'm interested to see what the arcade ones look like. I've never seen them before, and it sounds pretty interesting. DS, I haven't played in a while, but hopefully I can bring back some of the skill that I had in that game. I'm more so looking forward to the next 6 games because I've had the most practice with those.
I think this is when Jeffrey finally gets up in the leaderboards a little bit. I mean, I know nothing about these games, so.
Do you say that from the perspective of rooting for him?
No.
The next game is Mario Kart Arcade Grand Prix. How much experience have you had with this game?
I'm the one who set up the emulator, so I guess technically I have the most experience, but the game is super simplistic with only about 3 buttons, and I purposely didn't practice it, unlike a lot of other players on other games, but I'm not too worried about it. I think everyone's gonna get firsts, and it's gonna come down to mere seconds on the time.
And then lastly, Lucas gave his strangely accurate thoughts on the players' rough standings.
It's tough. I was looking at it for a second out there when I was getting it down. I don't know, it seems tight. I'd probably put him and Rogue in the top half and you here in the bottom half. But like, we're talking about like 10 points between you guys, I think.
With that brings us to the end of game number 4 on Mario Kart Double Dash. Now it is time for the players to race within the championship's first arcade title. Before we carry on with the mainline, boys, it's instead time to take a look at one of the weirder titles in the series. A game that many don't even know exists. A game none of us have ever played, and a game that's so complicated to explain, let alone even play. Let alone with 4 players. Welcome to the Mario Kart game that brought us to our knees. If not already obvious, Mario Kart Arcade Grand Prix is not your standard home console release. When organizing this championship, I knew we had to include the 3 oddball arcade titles, but I don't own any of the machines and I don't have easy access to 4 of them, especially not 4 for each game. So after I gave it some thought, here's how we accomplished 4 players competing on a Mario Kart Arcade cabinet title. First off, emulation was the answer to our problem. We went with the popular Dolphin emulator paired with Xbox controllers. Supposedly you can link 4 emulators together for co-op play, but that requires godlike coding skills that I don't have. The way we got around that problem was we chose 1 cup to each individually complete a Grand Prix on, then compared times for each of the 4 races. Once all 4 races completed their GP, we would base the positions off the shortest time for each race. On every race there's a number in the corner counting down the time, but we used the more accurate timer below it. When the race finished, the final time was only visible for a few frames. To solve that, Lucas actually had an idea we used this time.
Or when it's getting to the end of the thing, I can take a video on my phone and then stop the frame and write it down.
That video slow-mo strategy worked for the most part, but later when I meticulously went frame by frame, I discovered a couple were off, but fixed them and adjusted the scores. If not already obvious, this timing method led to there being only 4 positions possible, just to be clear. And another thing to note is 150cc's had to be unlocked here, so we just played the default speed. We also had 1 warm-up race each, so when you add that together, that's 20 races we had to get through, which took a fat minute, as you'll see. During the GPs, we did use our classic characters, but on the warm-up races, we all played different cups with occasional different characters in order to experience more of the game's never-before-seen content. When it came time to choose the GP cup we'd all play, I was in charge of picking it.
Do the one to the right.
Dude, a master?
Yes, trust me, we want some sort of variety in the gameplay. The bots to be good. They're like super easy on the other ones.
I thought this selection would provide us a fun challenge, but as you will see, that decision ended up backfiring hard. How this game's GP Cups, aka stages, work is weird. You first select one of the 6 stages, and within are 4 races, like your normal Grand Prix. But here, all the courses are called rounds, and all follow a theme, meaning they all basically look the same. Also, the first and third laps had identical layouts and identical lap counts, same things with maps 2 and 4. There are slight differences as you go through the stage, notably with Kamek, the Magic Koopa, spawning in more and more of what we called chicken nuggets.
Dude, those chicken nugget things.
But besides that minor detail, all the races were essentially the same, which when repeated 20 times got old fast. Also present in this game is a post-Grand Prix challenge against a boss, which looks cool, but we didn't do that. There's other things you need to know about this game, like how in order to keep the race hectic, like a typical arcade game, the bots have the most egregious rubber banding you'll ever see. The AI also scaled to whatever character was selected, meaning depending on which character you play, the bots would vary in speed and aggressiveness. Also, their constant rubber band repositioning led to them disappearing all the time. Probably the craziest feature of the game is the items, all 93 of them. 72 of them are completely new, and they range from really cool to really overpowered to really weird. In order to keep it fair and easy, we just chose the first 3 available, including the suspect needle bomb,
Bro, I want to that thing that's in his hand right now.
the booze, and the crowd favorite bonking basin, which the group had a hard time remembering the name of.
Washing bowl. With a dinner pan. How the f are you with this goddamn frying pan?
He's getting a pie pan. That's a basin. Washing board? That's a basin. It's a dish that holds water. It's a basin. It does
Frying pan's minimal.
It's a basin.
There's so many other weird aspects about Arcade GP worth mentioning, but I don't have time to cover everything, so here's some on-screen gameplay elements that stuck out to us. Also, I can't go without mentioning the actual weirdest quality, the devs' placeholder images found in the game files, which include, get this, a picture of the 2004 Beslan Massacre terrorist attack. Let that soak in. Anyway, with that out of the way, time for the first set of races, starting with Hudson. For the warm-up race, Hudson selected the Pac-Man Cup's Round 1 course, using his classic Yoshi. Right away, Hudson got a taste of the tricky drifting present in the game. Because of our emulator choice, the drift isn't as easy without the intended pedals. He eventually got the hang of it, informed us on the strat, snagged a first, and then prepped for his Grand Prix. Race 1 had Hudson picking up the feel of the game pretty quickly. He really made it look easy, with a casual first place off the bat. For this race, Lucas tried out his slow-mo camera technique, discovered it worked, wrote down the time he saw, and continued that strategy for every other race. Race 2 started, and right away was the moment that we first discovered the identical map element of Arcade GP.
Bro, this is like the same.
Why is it the same map?
Did I actually choose the same one? No, I definitely watched you. There's no way. Wait, is this the same one?
Look at the bottom cup is the same thing. Oh, it's only 3 laps. What the f?
Oh, it's different. Okay, yeah.
The race carried on the same as last until the end, which was a close one.
Let's go. I'll take it.
Even with another first, Hudson already had his opinion on the game.
Yeah, if they're all Bowser variations, it's gonna piss me off.
It's kind of ass. Like, this is definitely not good.
At this point is when we discovered that not only are the maps similar looking, but their designs also repeat.
Dude, it is.
It's like the first one. It's like the first one.
It's the same shape.
Race 3 had the group not pleased with, again, another identical map.
Yeah, the same exact start.
Literally, yeah, what the f is this? It's so weird.
Oh, this is the least interested I've been in anything.
During the race, I mentioned the possibility of potentially playing as the weird exclusive characters instead of our normals, but again, Rogan got on my ass about the rule.
Tanner, you're playing as Peach? Oh, you should probably play as like Miss Pac-Man. Yeah, but you gotta play the exclusive.
Bruh, but okay, so
We won't play the exclusives.
After that, and a few bass and bonks later, the finish ended with another close first for Hudson.
We'll have to figure out who did best here in this set's good.
okay. Yeah, I'll take it.
Going into the fourth race, once we finally fully understood the same map, same route bullshit,
It's like the same one as the second.
it was time for Hudson to finish his Grand Prix. Hudson again reminded us that he still wasn't a fan.
I'm so tired of playing this one.
You like it, well, prepare to watch it 12 more times.
The race wasn't too eventful besides us laughing at Donkey Kong's deadpan face and Lucas getting a little feisty when asked about the scorekeeping.
Dude, I'm sorry. Am I the person that's not doing anything right now?
Whoa!
Hudson finished up by securing a respectable second place. With his times on the board, it was time to switch players. Next up was Tanner, who got started on his warm-up race right away on Wario Cup's Round 1 course, playing as Miss Pac-Man. While familiarizing himself with the game, he managed to pull off a pretty clean green shell snipe and then a clean first place. After that though, he did start a bit of a dispute over the items.
I know, bro. I'm not saying it like that. Damn, bro, you're angry.
Then continued his anger onto Lucas when he refused to reveal Hudson's race 1 time.
What was Hudson's first time?
Dude, Hudson's first time was. We'll chill on that one.
No, let me know.
Yeah. Should I tell him?
Yeah, just let him know.
2 minutes and 25 seconds.
Yeah, what am I gonna f***ing do?
Yeah.
Once he eventually discovered the time to beat and switched to Peach, he started his first race. In the beginning, Julian made an interesting observation.
That was Omega Horny. Oh yeah, and it was like an echo.
Have some reverb.
Tanner then dealt with a few of GP's weird items, but it wasn't enough to stop him from getting a first. Race 2 started with some even more Hudson hate.
I don't like this one.
You don't like this game?
Nah.
Oh, this course.
Yeah, I mean both.
When midway through, Tanner found himself victim to GP's super over-the-top Thundercloud item. When the finish was coming up, it was looking to be another first, until some last-minute passing led to a second, which Tanner was fine with. All he cared about was the hopefully fast time. This was until we all discovered the worst aspect of Mario Kart Arcade GP.
Wait, you can't go to the next one because you didn't win.
Wait, really? Is that how it works?
Dude,
Is that you win?
my ass.
This is gonna be funny, Jeff! We're gonna be here all night.
You heard it right. In order to carry on through the stage, a first place was required. As if the game wasn't taking long enough already, this first place requirement was an additional layer of time consumption. The rule from there on out was the time only counts for the first try, and the other tries are just to move on. We of course didn't know of this feature prior because Hudson's first 3 races were firsts, with the 4th race not mattering because your GP is done at that point. So Tanner picked the controller back up and went into race 2's second attempt.
That's all over layer.
Which looked good until this happened.
Hold together, Tanner. Let's go. Let's see. I don't know.
You gotta be kidding me.
There was then talk of handing it over to Hudson to complete it,
Give it to Hudson.
This is the worst one.
but Tanner instead jumped back in for a 3rd attempt. Now that we were technically 9 races into the Bowser Cup, the crowd started aiming their frustration at me.
This is the Master Cup, though.
Yeah, explain to me why we chose this one.
After dealing with another crazy cloud, Tanner finally pulled a first, but barely.
Let's go. I can't do this one, bro. Shake it. Thank God.
Oh my god!
That's close.
Wario is eating your ass.
Before he started the next race up, I gave him some advice.
Okay, this one's 229.
225.
Yeah.
229 and a first place. Really, Jeffrey.
Jeff, do you think that's like a helpful thing to say right now? Is that what that was?
Race 3 wasn't the most notable, with Tanner performing well and snagging the first needed to move on. After the race, I made a valid observation about Tanner's extra tries, but received some backlash for it.
Damn, there's some unfairness going on with the extra tries, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's kind of true. That is kind of
The
true.
extra tries that were because of your lack of knowledge with the game that you set up.
Yeah, that is
Damn,
true also,
son.
yeah.
All that was left was race number 4, which was more relaxed with the positions not mattering, only the time. During the final lap, Tanner was informed on Hudson's previous time and he knew he'd be close to it. When sliding into 2nd place, he was happy to discover his time was a little over a second shorter. With those 6 Bowser races completed, his times were marked down and compared to Hudson's. As you can see, so far Hudson had the first 2 races and Tanner the last 2. It was then my turn to tackle the arduous arcade title. Before I started my warm-up, I threw a statement out there regarding the first place required rule.
I have a hard time getting past these next stages.
Bro, watch I keep getting caught up.
At the time, I had no idea how poorly that statement would age. My warm-up took place on DK Cup's Round 1 course, with my character selection being Blinky from Pac-Man. Immediately, the crowd was not on my side based on my so-so start to the race.
It's safe to say Jeffrey's taking 4th.
Yeah, Jeffrey.
It's safe to say he's gonna have to give his controller to the bigger brother and get him to get past the line.
I'm gonna attempt no drip and see how possible it is.
You're gonna attempt no drip? Accomplished.
After the barrage of insults and a few bass and bonks later, I finished the 7th lap with a clean first, then switched to Bowser and got ready for the GP. Race 1 of the Grand Prix immediately introduced us to some of the even crazier items present in the game, such as the cream pie alongside the candlestick as we called it. Those combined with not so great driving had me in the middle of the pack. When asked to predict my time, I made it clear first place was the only thing on my mind.
The time, bro, I'm trying to get first.
As lap 4 came to a close, I found myself with a second, which we all know meant you gotta run her back. When I started my second try, the crowd was again on my ass.
I don't know why you guys are rooting against me, bro.
I'm not rooting against you. I'm telling you to get a grip because I want you to get a grip so I can go home.
It's us versus the game, man, honestly.
Yeah, you're like, let's do the master cut.
My item using skills were even in question.
What the f*** was that?
You didn't let it lock fully, bro. It's like trying to shoot down a UAV in Black Ops 2 without getting the blue circle. It's just not gonna happen.
I then dealt with more candles and more pies.
You're in a BDSM situation right now. You're getting shocked and done.
With my game looking like another fail, the Hudson tap-in was mentioned again.
Jeff, help us. Me and Big Brother Hudson.
That wasn't needed though, because I pulled off the most hype finish of the championship yet.
The first one. God. The first one. That pop off for the first one.
Race 2 was a rough one. It started with more blame thrown my way.
Jeffrey was like, what cup? I was like, what cup should I pick? And Jeffrey was like, oh, the Bowser one, the master one.
The hardest in the game.
With my again sloppy driving, combined with a brutal drift shank,
You bitch, that's game!
my second place retry required was inevitable.
Oh, the times, bro. I'm trying to get first place.
The retry wasn't much better. The crowd was still salty.
We gotta do it again for fun, and we gotta watch. Nobody talk now. I need 100% focus from you.
And even though I still found myself in second.
You f***ing bitch! You get back here, you f***ing bitch! No! You blinking! I hate this game. I hate it. I gotta do it again!
Run it back.
Before I jumped back in, me and Tanner realized how easy Hudson made it look. And you know, while on the topic, Lucas had to chime in.
Hudson made this shit look like a f***ing walk in the park.
I know.
Zero mess-ups.
I know.
And he said good time.
I said he has good fundamentals, didn't I?
Try 3 had the crowd more vocal than ever.
You always hit the fence too whenever you're about to pass the finish line.
Yeah, you also could generally just be like driving tighter. Yeah, that one. This one!
It's not only that one, but hold on. I think it's this one. Jeffrey sucks at it.
Yeah. Everybody backseat game's super hard. That's a tough couple of turns, I'll give it to you. I mean, maybe not on my 8th time, it wouldn't be, but some people are just different.
I then fell victim to another weird item.
He's got a bomb. I agree.
What the hell?
Then failed to properly use my items.
Don't waste.
I know, you little bitch.
Well, last time you could just keep whipping it like.
Dude, like that.
All leading to a third second place.
You bitch! This game is so hard. It's so hard.
You big master mode!
Yeah, master, do that one.
Next time we know not to. I pray for Rogue. I hope he gets this quick.
Wait,
I'm praying for you right now.
This is race 2 still, right?
Yes.
I was looking at my paper like I forgot to write something down.
You remember earlier when Jeffrey was like, no, all the races in this are like really easy. We should do the master.
Dude, that proves to you that I didn't practice this shit.
That's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Jeff, I can hear the narration. So this next one is Mario Kart GP. Massive L, choose it. whatever.
As you can guess, the 4th try had the crowd furious.
It's not live!
Jeff, angry much?
A little.
Yes.
Jeff, you're on race 95, dude. Yeah. Move on.
Watch it!
Okay.
No!
Again, they mentioned the helping hand Hudson idea.
We need Big Brother to get
I hate this game.
Dude, get Hudson on the sticks.
Part of me wants to, but part of me.
But part of us needs to.
Long story short, ended with another second. At this point, it was time to swallow my pride and hand it over to Hudson to finish it off. With Hudson back in the controller, I was just trying to help him out with the menus.
Participation trophies here.
True. Hudson,
I already hit A like 8 times. What do you want from me?
one button shank in this game.
Oh my god, you're so dumb, bro. You
Oh
can't.
wait, one button shank. You're shaking every button on the
How many button shanks was that?
As always, the crowd was fuming.
Jeff, we better talk about this in the interview.
You know I'm roasting you. No matter what question you ask, I'm diverting it right to
You're
there.
getting flagged for delay of game.
When midway through the race, the crowd finally started understanding the earlier point I made.
Maybe it's because they chose Bowser low-key. I'm not good, but there might be some.
I think Bowser might be a factor, to be honest.
With Hudson's admittedly higher skill and some lucky turns, we finally got the first place we needed.
Yes. Bro, I didn't get the time, but...
Did you feel any difference with Bowser, or do you think it's all the same?
Shut up.
Nah, I didn't really feel that different.
Race 3 saw me back in control. Right away, I repeated that. First place was the only thing I was aiming for.
I could give a less of a
As you could expect by now, the race didn't go well. I again found myself with a second. At this point in the championship, we were exhausted.
Bro, Super Mario Kart feels like 1,000 years ago.
Again.
Yeah, it feels like that was like a century ago, dude.
Instead of Hudson helping again, I went in for another try. After some more weird items and more complaining from Hudson,
I'm so tired of seeing the same map.
when nearing the finish, Hudson then gave me the worst advice possible.
Jeffrey, please don't. Please don't. Just drift. Just drift. Just drift. Drift.
What the Hudson, what's with this preemptive drift shit, bro?
What do you mean? How's that my fault?
Drift! I almost fell off the map! Dumbass, take the shit and beat it.
Again? You were on.
If it wasn't sad enough that Hudson was back, the crowd was just showering him with compliments.
Listen.
This is dirty,
That
bro.
was nasty.
This is so dirty.
Though racing clean, he repeated his classic premature final lap reaction.
No, I messed up.
But when the actual finish came up, he pulled off the needed first. All that was left was race 4, the race where positions don't matter. Still though, going in, I was down on my luck.
I guess I'm trying to get third place, so hopefully road. Well, you can't get much worse than I do, or you don't get first. That's the hard part, but whatever.
And I couldn't stop thinking about a comment Hudson made earlier regarding my gameplay.
I don't know, but you're setting a record-setting time for real. Wow, bro, I'm sorry. Just from what I'm seeing so far, bro, you don't have what it takes in the Mario Kart
Those games spitting facts right now.
Hudson then, if we hadn't already heard it enough times, gave his thoughts on the game.
I like how they made this arcade game and they loaded the same map in like 4 times. And like, yeah, that's like a grand.
Unlike all my other races, I went off.
Nice! He's learned. He's
corners!
He's learning.
Okay, so this is godly gameplay.
This is...
Yeah, this is about to be fucking. This is crazy.
Even with me not grabbing the first, my time was record-breaking. Spoiler alert, even Rogue didn't beat it. This not only somewhat proved my Bowser disadvantage theory, but also proved Hudson wrong. When comparing my scores to the other two, as you can see, the first 3 races were rough, with me being last on each, but like I said, that time on the 4th couldn't be beat. The only player left was Rogan, who at this point watched 5 Hudson races, 7 Tanner races, and 12 of my races. So you'd think he'd be a pro off the bat. That seemed to actually be the case when he started his warm-up lap on Mario Cup's Round 1 course with Pac-Man selected, where he seemed to pick it up fast. Like I said, with the crowd being exhausted, this unexpected first place challenge brought the championship's momentum to a screeching halt.
My perspective on like what's quick and what hasn't has completely altered from this.
Yeah.
Rogue then finished his 6th lap with a first, and then switched to and then prepped for the 4th and final GP. Race 1 started with, as you could expect,
Dude, I'm so tired of seeing this map. I'm so tired of seeing this map.
Rogan was then introduced to those damn candlesticks which every character loves to spam. Later, after ramping off of Blinky's base and bonked body, he pulled off a relieving first place. Since that's the 4th race 1 completed, it's time to look at who placed where. As you can see, with Rogan's time being mere milliseconds quicker than mine, he snagged 3rd, with Hudson still 1st, Tanner still 2nd, and me a big old 4th. Race 2 had Rogan dealing with all the usual items. The zap happy clouds, the tricky time bombs.
You're gonna hit somebody with it before the timer runs out. Nice. Careful, I'm gonna be a big blast. I don't know what's gonna happen.
And although he activated, according to Lucas,
Beast mode status.
he did find himself with a 2nd, but the time counted nonetheless. With that time on the board, you can see for race 2, everyone was 1 second away from each other, with Rogan snagging 3rd again, Hudson still 1st, and Tanner still 2nd. And me, well, another 4th. Rogan then tried to make the same point I made with Tanner with the purposeful practice, but made no sense.
Jeffrey got 4th. Rogan got 3rd. Tanner got 2nd.
Jeffrey did have a lot of practice, to be fair.
Hudson held down his first 2.
To be fair, I got 4th.
Then Hudson chimed in on me again, just helping someone with the menus.
You guys make me nervous on that shit every time.
How? You're so dumb, Jeffrey.
Hovering over the button.
It's like I don't know what the color yellow looks like, bro. Like I've never seen a
Hudson, your ass was hovering like 3 thumbs over the A button, bro. I was
3
nervous.
thumbs over the A button. What the f is that even mean, bro?
With Rogan shanking the 1st place requirement, he started up another race to attempt, which went pretty smooth and resulted in a 1st. I then said what I thought would be a shared sentiment.
If they ever made this game on a console, it'd be pretty fun to play, but...
As race 3 began, Tanner threw an out of nowhere jab at me.
Jeff, don't forget about your placements during the interview.
Bitch, I'm not forgetting anything.
At this point, with our time on the title almost up, we were ready to wrap it up.
I've lost track which Bowser's map is which, bro.
Yeah, it's all one map for me.
I just know the later the games, the more nuggets.
Rogue then thankfully pulled off a clean 1st with an impressive time. When compared to the boys, Rogan claimed the 1st place, followed by Tanner 2nd, Hudson 3rd, and me, well, you can read the board. When Tanner realized Rogan snagged his only 1st place chance, I had to remind him on something.
Oh no, that took away Tanner's first. Hell.
R.I.P.
I have 4 seconds.
Well, that's where the middle name comes from.
Finally, it was time for Arcade GP's final race, Rogan's Race 4. Off the bat, I needed to rub in Tanner's face how he was going to be the only one without a 1st.
Tanner, so much trash talk in this game, you've got 0 dubs to your name on it.
He beat you, bro.
I'm rolling my eyes. Who would it take over controls for your mother cast? Like, I don't want to hear it. Who would have Daddy Hudson come in?
When watching Rogan perform pretty well, Hudson realized he didn't want him to succeed.
Honestly, kind of like Jeffrey from this one. Because I feel like Rogue's the
Yeah, agree.
The politics come play.
Then everyone realized that same fact and all began rooting against him.
Nugget Shank.
That's all I like to see. That's all I like to... Bruh, Shake City out here.
Hey,
Rogue's hometown, bro.
We need a bombshell.
Unless he pulls a sub.
Oh!
Pac-Man.
That's
man dropped a stinky on
He doesn't pull a sub 40 lap.
Hit that nugget for me real quick.
Until Rogue had enough and delivered this low blow.
Right in the malls.
Actually true and based.
Soon after, he finished with a 2nd, which of course didn't matter on this race. When comparing his scores to the others, like I said, there was no beating mine, with me staying 1st, followed by Tanner 2nd, Hudson 3rd, and taking my place in 4th was Rogan. Now it's time to look at everyone's scores combined. Here are the results from Mario Kart Arcade GP. As you can see, Tanner consistently ended 2nd, I consistently ended 4th, besides my bonkers 4th race. Rogan did not so great, but a 1st, and Hudson with his 2 firsts further solidified his lead. At this point in the night, 1 a.m., after 20 previous races and a whopping 30 races just on this game that took alone nearly 2 hours, we decided instead of capping the day off at the 6th game, Mario Kart DS, we would instead call it a day right after we finished the Mario Kart Arcade GP's first question was about their thoughts on Arcade GP overall.
We finished the first arcade Mario Kart.
Terrible game. Awfully made game. The drifting doesn't work. It's bad. All the items are trash. All the CPUs are trash. They just speed them up to match you. Like, they're not good. But the map is just the same map over and over again, 4 times in a row. What else do I need to really say, you know? Like,
I think it's got some charm, the weird arcade style animation and just the way it does things differently than the console games. The really simplistic maps, the near 100 items, the weird characters. I like that, but there's more to dislike.
I liked the weird characters and I disliked about everything else. It was hard to get used to. The drifts were weird. I don't know, it just didn't feel very natural.
A little bit technically challenging sometimes to get everything together. Not as easy to score and the most involved and took the longest for sure. But it was a good mix up. I think it was like competitive in a different way.
It's just a map. There was no variety.
What are your thoughts on the AI, the items?
They scaled your speed. Like Jeffrey was playing Bowser and they were going 20 seconds slower than, you know, Tanner playing with Peach. So it obviously scales as complete slime, pretty rigged.
The group then elaborated more specifically on the performances.
I think I did pretty good. I was kind of nervous going first because I was like, well, I don't know if I'm doing good or like bad, you know, but having like the first 2 times was good because nobody was like used to the game yet. The last 2 people are like more used to it by then, so.
Is it true in Mario Kart GP you did not win a single race?
What?
Do you think this is a comeback after your extreme slump from the last couple games?
I'm not gonna answer that question. What the kind of a question is that, bro?
Well, basically, I love to see Jeffrey fail.
Would
It's
you
the light of my
deem
life.
his performance today a failure?
No, not yet, but I still have my hopes up.
Jeffrey sucks ass. Like, he's definitely like that guy. Honestly, he's a piece of shit. Like, that dude is so annoying. What a toxic human being. But other than that, you know, I think it was a pretty good day. I think everybody did really well, except for Jeffrey.
Yeah, well, 4 second place finishes, that's some solid consistency.
Interesting brag.
Solid
Not first
brag.
place?
Anyone that got first place, you know, they also took 3rd and 4th. Speaking of 4th, Jeff took a lot of them, and you know what? I don't want to like put the guy down too much, but someone had to beat a level for him just so we could keep playing the game. We don't have to talk about it too much. That's my man, Jeff. But yeah, next question.
While on the topic, Hudson brought up the first place teammate tap-in as well.
I feel like I can speak for almost, if not everyone. You start off so strong and then a couple really weak performances. And this seems like a breath of fresh air in this last one.
Yeah, you know, like a weak performance where you have to have somebody else beat the level for you because you can't get a first place finish and continue the races, you know? Like that kind of
But when,
that kind of weak performance, or what?
but when
what
the
do you
time's
mean?
already established or we're just trying to pass the game, it's more like we're all on one team against the game, correct?
Yeah, but then your time is also worse than mine, right?
Is it true that Jeffrey passed the controller to Hudson because Hudson was getting a little sleepy and wanted the day to wrap up?
Yeah, because you were taking way too long, bro. You're gonna get a first place, dude. You're over here in like 3rd, getting beat by the CPUs, dude. What do you want from me? All right, I had to step in.
Though the players were unaware of the official scores, they were asked to guess their rank.
No, I think if we do some simple math, you know, we can see that I'm definitely in the 2nd or 3rd contention right now. Gunning down Hudson for 1st.
At the time, this idea seemed way off to me,
That's an unpopular take, but we'll move on.
so I got the others' thoughts on it.
It feels a little tone deaf, doesn't it?
It might a little bit, but with the 4 second places on this most recent game, I think that's a lot more points than we're realizing at the moment. Like everybody else was pretty even, but 4 second places, that's nothing to complain about. If he was in 4th and talking like this,
Who do you think's in 4th?
Jeffrey.
And he believes he is 2nd and quote, gunning for 1st.
I don't know. We don't know the numbers, or we'll figure it out later.
Then just stirred the pot a little with Lucas.
Rumor is that Tanner, since his low placement in the charts, has been blaming you for incorrect scorekeeping. What are your thoughts?
He's like Donald Trump in the last election, bro. It's not true. It's just not. Okay, we can keep it on political. Non-political answer. I'm completely false, baseless. My methods can be checked. Sign off the results by Magistrate, I don't care. I know my methods are true.
With day one coming to a close, the group was asked their thoughts on the day's races.
A little disappointed. I had some highlights here and there, but I've been playing very average, more on the negative side, honestly. But we've been playing the games where there's not that many players in the race. Maybe 4, maybe 8. So, you know, 4th place, not that big a deal.
I think it went well. I think a lot of the planning that was done kind of came to fruition. Things went pretty smooth. It's been less stressful than I thought it would be keeping score, although my methods have come into question a little bit, but that's okay. No, it's been good. Good games, good fun.
It's been pretty good. I mean, I think this is like the weaker half for me when it comes to Mario Kart. I have a lot less experience with this. Hopefully next time will be better.
Oh, my top one is definitely 64, bro. That one I just got first everyone. I think my second was probably that one, honestly.
I was pleasantly surprised with the Game Boy Mario Kart and Super Mario Kart. Yeah, really fun games. Had some bad performances. Did solid in Double Dash, which I was, feeling kind of shaky on.
Hudson is the only one that has 4 first places in one game, so I think that's very impressive, but he's kind of fallen off. I'm not gonna lie. Anyone can take it. I think Rogan can take it. I think Jeffrey can take it. He really tries. I think Tanner can take it.
Prior to the championship, I was disheartened to receive a video from an anonymous source showing allegedly Rogan on a GP machine. I then asked him about it and got a nervous answer.
There's been rumors that you've been practicing before the tournament, and there's been rumors of memorization of YouTube shortcut tutorials. How do you address those accusations?
I don't look anything up on YouTube, and I play these games for fun. Not these, but the next one.
Was fun had today?
No.
You're not happy with
Oh,
your
you're
scores?
talking about, I thought you were talking about practicing. No, I had fun today.
Tanner was also questioned on Rogan's overall dicey behavior.
Does it make you nervous when Rogan goes several races without saying anything?
It does. I'm thinking some sort of suicidal thoughts are brewing, making you nervous for the kid, You're trying to race.
Why are you so non-confrontational with all the questions relating to other players? Are you hiding something?
No, I'm just very focused. I'm trying to do good instead of trying to be the villain.
As the games get newer, more and more YouTube shortcuts exist. Do you think Rogan has them all memorized?
Yeah, he's got them in the favorites, watch later, bookmark, every tab open, his computer's, about to start a fire. Unfortunately, that's one of the things I'm worried about for the Wii.
While on the topic of future titles, the players were then asked about their thoughts going into the next games.
This is when I get nervous because I'm not sure Tanner's experience on mobiles, and I got money on him, so we'll see.
Are you nervous for day 2?
No, not really. I mean, like Wii, maybe a little bit. I think that the rest of that I'll do fine on.
What game are you most worried about for day 2?
Well, no one really has any experience with Mario Kart 7, so I don't really know what to expect with that. The Mario Kart GPs, we got GP2 and GPDX coming up. Oh, and 8. I'm strangely terrible at 8. Never can get the feel of that game down.
How do you plan on improving day 2?
Maybe a little less trash talk, maybe a little more focus on the gameplay. I gotta stay on the upper half for the next couple games. I'm just aiming to not be 3rd or 4th. I'm aiming for at least 2nd. 1st might be on my grips right now.
I don't know how the competition will be. I think people are more invested in the newer games. I think they spend more time on them. The shit talk might be up a little bit. We might see the kind of things come through there, but I'm excited for them. They're easier to score, so that's good for me. So
Probably 8. Not really worried about any of the other ones.
Excited, feel good about Wii, feel good about Mario Kart 8. A little nervous for DS, but I think I'll be able to hold on.
The final question was then asked, addressing the elephant in the room.
So Jeffrey, Tanner was quoted saying, "This is so embarrassing, this is going on Jeffrey's YouTube, and he will easily take 4th. Do you have any thoughts on that?
The thoughts on I'm gonna be 4th and this still making a video about it?
Right.
Honestly,
This is your production, this is your idea.
well, I want to make it clear that I'm one of the few people to honestly admit that I didn't practice behind the scenes. Second of all, I'm focusing on 9 methods of recording at all times, so a lot on the brain during these games. Third of all, it'd look weird if I came in 1st place because I'm making a video, so kind of purposely not doing the best, so that I'll probably use as my excuse for not being 1st when I lose, inevitably. But I'm going in positive on day 2.
There you go, the first 5 games in the championship completed. Make sure to catch the next part in the saga to see if Rogan finally opens up, if Julian finally decides on who he's rooting for, if Tanner finally gets off my damn back, if Hudson finally accepts he's past his prime, if I finally learn to calm down, and if Lucas finally gets off of Hudson's cock. But more importantly, tune in to see if any players can surpass Hudson's long-held lead. Will it be Rogan? Will it be Tanner? Will it be me, who's currently 45 points behind? You'll have to find out. Make sure to catch part 2 of the 13-game Mario Kart Championship, where these questions might just be answered, and where we meet our 7th and final face of the competition.
What is your name?
Trey.